I'm the cat toy lady. So today's toy is a cat running wheel. I know, you're saying, hey, you've already made that before. This one I'm making a little differently. The last one was a challenge that I gave myself that was only from dollar store material, just to prove it could be done. And yes, it can be. And now I want to figure out if I can make a cat wheel that's a bit bigger and without sides to it, and also while using foam board. That's the biggest thing I want to figure out. Can you use foam board to make a cat exercise wheel? So many of us have issues getting a hold of wood and getting it cut up. So today I'm going to make the exercise wheel and then test it out and let you know if it is something that you can really do. Yes, it looks like a wheel, but is it going to work? Let me start off by saying everything except for the wheels that I'm going to show you came from the dollar store. I am still trying to keep this inexpensive, but let's face it, you're not going to get wheels at the dollar store that are going to do much. I got these from my home improvement store. They're called 2-inch casters. I have 4 of them. Then I have white duct tape, spray glue, my favorite wrapping paper. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I like to use my floppy tape measure to be able to make circles. We're going to do that again today. And if I use anything else, I'll let you know. I think this is what I need to get started. Of course, I haven't made this, or I'd be able to tell you if it worked or not. So let's get started. It's going to be a big wheel. Just so you know the dimensions, the outer part of it is going to be 48 inches, that's 4 feet. And the inner lip that they're going to be able to run on is going to be 42 inches. To start our wheel, what we're going to do is the outside bands. We're going to be making an edge that goes all the way around the part that they run on. And for this edge, we are using foam board, and we are going to double layer it to help for stability. And if you remember, I said the outside of it is going to be up to 48 inches. You're not going to get that out of one solid piece of foam board. So we're going to have to be creative and piece it together like a puzzle. We're going to need 5 sheets of foam board to start with. And go ahead and mark for all 5 sheets, the middle, at the top, and the bottom. I made itty bitty marks just so I can help line up. And you can see on my table here, I marked a central line going all the way up. That way I can use that top and bottom mark that I put on the foam board to keep everything centered as I go along. I also added 2 little chunks of foam board that I had in the trash to be able to put my push pin in. And I made sure that the hole is lined up with that central line. This is going to help you anchor your tape measure for doing the circles. Or really, we're going to be doing arcs and piece together the circle. The arcs that we're going to be doing are going to be 21 inches on our ruler and 24 inches. And so I could make an anchor point. I always start at my 1-inch spot. So really on my tape measure, you're going to see that I'm going to be doing the 22 and 25-inch spots. But really it's 21 inches and 24 inches with my 1-inch mark anchoring. I did use my push pin to make holes at my 1-inch mark, my 22 and my 25. That way for these two, the pencil lead can be able to make a mark through the tape measure. Your starting point is going to be at the very top of your board. All right, so now I'm just going to line up those central marks. Make sure everything's lined up or fairly close. Then I'm going to tape down so nothing shifts. And I did make tabs on my tape so I can peel it off and use it and move it as needed. This is just to try to help with shifting. Start making your arcs on your board. You can see here my tape's in the way, so I'm just going to peel it up a little. There's my first arc, and then my second one. Keeping your pencil straight up and down. We've now made our first arc, making sure that when you do the next arc, it won't overlap. For me, the easiest way to find out how far I need to slide my board is by taking that farthest point that we've made on our tape measure and making sure it won't overlap anywhere on that bottom line that you already made. So the easiest way to find that is at each edge of the board. Found it here, and then I'm going to line up my middle piece again and placing my tape. Trying to make sure that we're not having big gaps in between each arc is going to save the amount of foam board that you're using up. Now just draw your next arc all the way across. And do it again on your 22-inch mark. Slide your board and repeat again. Grow longer arms if needed. You should be able to get 4 arches on here. There you go. You're going to do this on all 5 sheets. Now that you've made your lines on all 5 sheets, go ahead and cut them out. There we go. 1 sheet done, 4 more to cut out. Now we start assembling the circles. To connect them together, I'm going to use my white duct tape. Go ahead and cut some pieces of tape to help you out. You're going to cut about 3-inch pieces. And I'm just leaving them where I can easily just snag them. Alright, take 2 of your pieces, and following the bottom inside curve, you're going to make sure they're sitting flush together so that the curve is exactly sitting on top of itself. It's easiest just to use your fingers and kind of push up against for feel. Then take your ruler and going vertically compared to the circle itself, cut through both pieces. Then push them really firmly together and tape them right on that seam. Flip it over and tape the other side too, just so it doesn't bend. Repeat this all the way around till you have a full circle. So I'm making sure this inside seam lines up. Putting my ruler down so I have a flat edge. And cutting through both pieces. And to tape the back side, you can just lift up and just stick the tape on that way. And it's okay that it's a little flimsy right now. We're going to put a second layer on this to make it more rigid. Okay, here we are. You're going to repeat this 3 more times, and then I'll show you how to connect the 2 together. Now that you have 4 giant hula hoops, we're going to tape them together in pairs. Nothing too crazy, just take that same duct tape, about an 8-inch strip of it, and wrap it around. When you do this, make sure that the inside seams are lined up. Wrap it around tight, just like that. I'm going to put about 8 pieces of tape on each pair. Now repeat this with the other pair. Once you get your 2 rings taped together, you're going to take 5 more sheets of foam board and cut them in half long ways. Just like that. Once you get them cut in half, run to your kitchen and grab your rolling pin. What we need to do is put a slight curve into them. They are going to become the platform that the cat actually stands on. The goal to this is to add a curve to it, but on the outside of the curve, keep it nice and smooth. The inside can have wrinkles, and I'll show you how I'm going to put the curve in it with the rolling pin. Nothing too hard. Set your rolling pin down and put your foam board lengthwise on it. Then just slightly put some pressure and roll back and forth, starting on one end, and slowly work your way to the middle and down. Use your hands to kind of help bend just slightly the foam board around the rolling pin. You'll start seeing lines in your foam board on the inside, but again, nothing on the back side. You want to keep this as smooth as possible. Nice and smooth, and lots of wrinkles. That's exactly how you want it. That way this can fit inside here now. You're going to do this to the other 9 pieces you have left. You're going to take the pieces that you just rolled out, and it's going to go on the inner side flush on one end. If you can see, like that. Not bumped up against, but actually sit underneath. And you're going to take on one end a piece of tape. We're going to tape this on, making sure that it's sitting nice and flush. And then scoop down a little bit and put another piece. Make sure right here that you're not leaving any gaps. Repeat that again, just like that. And again, and again. Now you can see. And you have tape holding it on all the way around. Do this again 3 more times. And when you go to put the next piece on, make sure it bumps right up against the seam as close as you can get them. So you can see where the 5th piece is supposed to go. It's a small piece. Easiest thing to do is just to bump one side up to the edge where it goes and use a pencil and make a little mark and cut a straight line. There we go. Now fit it into place and tape it in place. Now go ahead and take your other ring and tape it just the same way to the other side. I'm going to do just a few, not as many as I did on the outside, reinforcement pieces on the inside. Mainly where you see the seams going all the way across. Pushing these 2 pieces together and then putting the tape down, just so I can tell that they're butted up against each other all the way. Now we need reinforcement for the part that they're going to be running on. I'm going to put another layer on the running path, but making sure to stagger where the seams are. So right here is a seam. I'm going to make sure to put this halfway in between, or thereabouts, and tape this into place the same way, just running some pieces across. So line everything up again. I am pulling the tape nice and tight as I'm doing this. I am making sure to keep pressure right here. That way there's no gaps in between. And then flip it around and tape the other side, making sure to pull the tape nice and tight. By doing it this way, we are double reinforcing all the foam board. That should really help give it some rigidity. Now go all the way around and put the rest of the pieces on. You're going to measure and cut that last piece to fit, just like you did with the first layer. It's all taped together. I did open a second roll of the dollar store duct tape. This bad boy has a ton of tape. I have 2 more sheets of the foam board. We are going to cut it in half again lengthwise. Just set 2 of them to the side for the moment. For the next piece, find the center of the long side and just make a little mark. That should help line up this next piece. You're going to do that same curve that you did before, but you're going to make each corner line up with the arc. And you're going to do it 21 inches away. That corner is on. Make sure you hold down your push pin. And that one's off just a little, so let's slide this over. So make your arc and go all the way around. Now place these right on top of each other and cut along that line. The other 2 halves that you put to the side, we're going to go ahead and pull those out. And I measured the part from one wall to the other, and it was 9 3/8. So I'm going to cut both of these 9 3/8 wide all the way down. Now the pieces that we cut that have the curve to them, we need to get the measurement of the side of it. 10 inches. One of the pieces that we cut to 9 3/8, we are going to measure 10 inches and cut it off, and then do that again. We're going to assemble the base kind of like a box. These are going to sit on top, and the smaller pieces that you cut are going to be the end caps. Again, just use the white tape. This piece is going to be sitting on top of the base piece, not beside. just like that. And yes, it can flop open at the moment. You need to put a sidewall. The end cap piece is actually going to sit level to the ground just in front of it. I'm taping the bottom first. And for the side, I'm just going to use a piece of my green painter's tape that peels off easily. I want to be able to reach back inside. We're going to be putting some wheels inside, and I want to be able to adjust where they're sitting while this is sitting on top. So I'm leaving little doors to be able to look inside. Now repeat this again. So you can kind of see how they're supposed to fit together. Almost like a puzzle piece, very tight. And the base and the sides that go up are what keep the wheels stable and not able to flip over so easily. Remember those wheels? We're going to put them inside the base, elevated up so they get just a little bit of lift, but while still being able to keep everything stable. And that's where we're going to need to be able to get inside the sides so we can see how much they're touching and be able to tell how we need to be able to set things up. Since I want the wheels fairly spread apart, I'm guessing I need the base underneath them to be about 4 inches tall. So I'm going to use some junk wood that I have, a 2x4, and I have a 1.5 by 3/4 inch piece of wood. I'm going to make a bracket that connects 2 wheels together side by side that's basically shaped like a capital I. I'll have 2x4s underneath and a bar of 5.5 inches in between them. Let's cut up some wood. So this is what I'm thinking. This shape right here with the 2x4s and the other piece of wood as a brace. I'm going to use 1.5 inch long screws to be able to attach the brace. And then I have slippery fingers. Then I have 3/4 inch screws too that I'm going to use for attaching the wheels. I'm going to do this twice. Here they are. They're gonna sit just like this. Well, about like this. I can tape or hot glue them into place. I'll figure it out once I find out exactly where they need to sit. So let's get trying them out. See how I have them set up? And they just sit barely above. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my tape off so I can see how the wheel's sitting. I want a gap that I can get my finger in. I want that on both sides. Okay, so you can see on this side the wheels aren't touching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to evenly set them up against and then just slowly start pushing forward. Till I get the right amount of clearance on each side. Now I just have to glue and tape them down. After some readjustment, I space the wheels as far apart as they can go. That temporary tape I put on the side, I'm going to go ahead and replace it with the duct tape. I'm going to use my low tint glue gun just to run a bead of glue around the base to try to give them the area to sit. That way when I go to move it, I don't have to worry about things shifting. While that's setting, I'm going to go ahead and decorate the wheel part itself. I have really cute plaid wrapping paper from the dollar store, and I am going to wrap the outside of it. I'm going to use that spray glue and spray this flat part right here in the center, small sections at a time. And I'm going to take 4-inch strips, set them down in the glue, making sure everything sits nice and tight up against the wall. And then I'm going to fold it over and wrap it around. And if you notice, the pieces don't really touch together. Don't worry about it. We're going to put a rug in the center of it. Spray the glue and let it sit and get a little tacky. You know what's cool? The paper has lines on the back of it that show inch marks. So find about the center. I'm going to let them overlap just a little. That way I don't worry about any bald spots. See? Just like that. Want to look cool? Worked out perfect. Last piece, last spot. Huh. So here it is covered. Now on the inside, I'm going to take the Dollar Store front door mats, cut them in half, and line the inside. I had 3 black mats. I'm going to use my low temp glue gun. Just so you know, do not use hot glue. Hot glue will make the foam expand and will ruin this. I'm going to use the low temp glue and glue down my mats. And I'm just eyeballing to make sure it's centered. It will take a little bit of time for the glue to cool. Even though it's a low temp, remember you're using foam board and that holds heat. And of course, I have one little spot left that I need to measure and cut. It's going to fit perfectly. Let's put it all together. I mean, don't you want to know if it's going to work after all that work? So here it is. It's done. Okay, so I totaled it all up. We had $12 in foam board, $2 in tape, $1 in glue, $3 in rugs, $2 in wrapping paper. That makes 20 bucks right there. And then last I just had the 4 wheels. They were the most expensive part. They were $3.46 a piece. So their total was like $13.84. We'll just call it 14. So that makes $34 for this bad boy. Go Google what a 4-foot cat wheel will cost you. You're looking at about 200 bucks, maybe even more depending on, and you can make it for 34 bucks. So to show you now how stable it is, I can barely get a wiggle out of it. And it moves nice and easily. A cat is going to love running on it. So that means we're done. And yes, it actually works. So for you people that thought that cat wheel that I did from the Dollar Tree was either too small, wouldn't work, wouldn't support a cat, take that. And if you're curious about the other things I can teach you to make, check these out. And of course, because I'm going to make cool things in the future, hit that subscribe button. That way you get to see my latest videos.